The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
And, of course, we had the T20 World Cup final there last night. What a phenomenal game of cricket it ended up being between the two undefeated sides going in, South Africa and India. Neither of the two sides have had much success over the last 2 decades in big tournaments, but it was India who looked right to have their backs against the wall with 4 overs to go. It was basically run-a-ball stuff for South Africa, 6 wickets in hand. And then India just bowled incredibly well. They got Henry Klaasen out, who was the key wicket.
Yeah.
He'd made 50 off just 21 balls and turned the game around single-handedly in favour of South Africa. But when he went, all of a sudden the whole game changed complexion. And David Miller looked dangerous, but there was a lot left to him. And up the other end, there were wickets falling. Bumrah came on for his final 2 overs, and he was just magnificent, as he has been all tournament. The lowest runs per over in a big tournament by a significant margin, 4.3 runs per over.
Gee.
Which is outrageous. When you consider how long T20 cricket's been going in the big tournaments, broken down for you, that effectively, if everybody could bowl to that level, you'd be bowling teams out for 85.
Didn't they need 30 off 30?
Yeah. No, they were relatively, they looked to be basically relatively comfortable.
So did they choke or not?
Well, I wouldn't say choke. So Klaasen chased a wide one and got out. And when he got out, just the whole game changed complexion, because South Africa, I mean, they have a relatively attacking side, but they needed someone to just almost dig in at that stage and push the ones and get Miller on strike, but they lost wickets. And then, of course, when you got a new batsman coming to the crease, dot ball. Yeah. Oh, geez, now all of a sudden we're needing 9, 10, 11 and over instead of a run of ball, and they and then got to the last over, and it was down to 16 off the last over, and Miller was on strike, and he has absolutely smoked one to deep mid-off, and it looked like it was going for 6, and then Surya Kumar Yadav came from nowhere, got to the ball just in time before it's gone for 6, tippy-toed to not touch the Toblerone, threw it back up in the air, ran round, came back in, took the catch back on the infield. Yeah. One of the greatest catches I've ever seen. And the clutch moment with an over to go, nearly any other fielder in the world at 6, and they need 10 off 5, and it's game on. But the difference is Yadav takes a catch. All of a sudden, they've got 2 of their tail enders in, and it was very comfortable from that point on for the final over.
Going to win it, India? I don't know. I've got no idea of the bloody T20s and all that. But looking at the markets earlier, I thought, well, why wouldn't they win?
Yes, well, to be fair, it's looked like they would win nearly every other T20 and white ball tournament for 15 years, Marty. But the final itself has just been the game that's eluded them from playing their best. And they probably didn't play to their very best last night, to be honest. They were 3 for 30 odd early. They were up against it. But Virat Kohli, who hadn't made a run all tournament, dug in. He's made a big score. Yep. He made the big one when they needed it most. And
76.
Axar Patel was really important as well. He came right up the order. That's one thing India have always had, batting depth, and they've got all-rounders that can sort of fill a void. Axar Patel came up the order. He upped the run rate. He played without pressure because he knew normally I'm batting at 9 and probably won't get a hit, so he made the most of it. And then, they went on to score quite freely from that point onwards. And then South Africa, they were in early trouble. And as I said, that innings from Klaasen just turned the game. He is, if you didn't see it, watch the mini. There'll be a mini of it. His 50 runs in a big game
27.
And some of the sixes that he hit, there was one in particular that springs to mind. A spinner off the back foot, he's gone back and hit the ball through extra cover, and he's barely even touched the ball. Just the timing of it was phenomenal. He's a wonderful cricketer, probably my favourite player in the world to watch bat right now, Henrik Klaasen. But unfortunately, he was a few runs short for South Africa overnight.
Now we're racing at Bunbury today. That's what I was trying to get to. 12:47, the first of 8, and we're also up there. They're in beautiful Broome. And their meeting up there commences at 1:36, and they've got 7 now. I know they're pacing at Calaberran today because Matty McDermott told me so yesterday. First event gets underway at 12:12, and 4:37, the last of 9. And then we're heading to Mandurah, beautiful Tab Touch Park, 4:31, the first of a dozen. What about Levitsky? He was on the show on Tuesday night and he threw out Gold Coast. He said, there's the bet, $3, make the 8. And we all poo-pooed him and said, what are you doing, man? Stick the greyhound calling and tipping winners there. Well, he's got away to a flyer.
It's certainly not.
Still got a long way to go.
They need to win on the road, Marty. That's the key. So it's important
Willie
to lock
Nelson.
away. You're exactly right. But I think it's the next phase of their game that they just need to develop, and they need to nick at least 2 wins away. But I can see the logic in Ryan's. We actually had a chat when we asked him for his best of the weekend on Chasing Winners on Friday morning. Guess what he threw up?
Gold Coast.
The Suns at $3 to make the 8, and he made a spirited case once again, and he said, get there and have a look at the actual away games and who they're playing. He's confident that they can nick a couple. I think North Melbourne are one of them, and I think West Coast might be another. So he was confident that they can potentially nick
They're just not easy beats anymore, those two sides.
They are not.
And you wouldn't believe, the last 4 weeks I've been on North at the line and they've won.
They've
been a constant.
At the plus, they've delivered for you. Yeah,
been terrific. And again, even yesterday, they looked in danger of getting smashed, and then they just closed the whole game up and turned. In the last quarter, I went, hang on.
They're just, well, I mean, and it's good for the competition, Marty. They were getting, last year, they were getting absolutely blown up. It was pizzling most times. You can see improvement from their younger players. Some of their senior players with these younger guys starting to sort of improve their performance are coming with them. And, all of a sudden, they're a lot more competitive than what they've been in recent times. Dogs would have been happy to just get in and out with the points out of that game. No doubt about that. But there were Collingwood one side. I just want to see the injuries. I was listening into that game last night while watching a bunch of racing that was on at the time, Marty, and the commentary team at the end of the game said it was a really nice performance from them. They hung in there, but it might come at a cost with 2 or 3 of their key players looking very sore at the end of that fixture. So we'll wait and see. One thing to their credit, though, all year they've had significant injuries and they've just had guys come in as replacements, play their role and continue to deliver. They're a very fine football club.
They actually hit the front in that last quarter as well. They got on into the lead and then Gold Coast were able to kick the last 2 of the match to ace that game 101-90. If you missed the scores, Adelaide 94, GWS 78. GWS were coming back at Adelaide, but they had too big a lead and held on. And Sydney, Freo, what a dramatic finish to that game. Have Freo winning by a point, clinging on. There was no Tony Lockett, no point after the siren there. Of course there wouldn't be.
You would have sworn that Logan McDonald would at the very least kick a point in that scenario, wouldn't he?
His look on his face, I said, we were watching it in here, I said, he's not going to get anything.
Well, he spent so much time talking to the umpire about what can I do
here?
I think he was that panicked about potentially being called for play on, in which case nothing would have counted anyway, that he actually lost focus of just what his standard routine and kicking through the ball hard. Freo, that's one miss kick that they're all very, very happy to have seen.
They played really well early, particularly in that second quarter, and then the Swans, you knew they were coming, but they were able to hold them off.
The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
James Sully Sullivan joins us. Good morning, James.
Hello, Marty. Hello, David. How are we, gentlemen?
You're up in it.
Oh, Sul, it's always good to hear your voice on a Sunday morning. You are right up and amongst it. Fill us in. Game 2, State of Origin. Before we get into this weekend's NRL, I know that you've already been on, but I want a quick snapshot for our Aftermath listeners that missed it on the way through. My goodness, State of Origin, heads to Melbourne, enormous crowd, and New South Wales turned the tables on Queensland. That first half, you couldn't get a more stark performance from what we saw in Game 1 to Game 2. They turned up to the ground, switched on and ready to roll.
Yeah, brutal's the word. Yeah, they were brutal in that opening 40 minutes. And, obviously, I like Michael Maguire. I love what Mad said. He goes, makes a difference when it's 13 on 13. I did enjoy that. But at the end of the day, they did have things go their way, when, as I said at the time, penalties 4-1 at that stage. But the big one for me, Shorty, and I'm a massive man, as Marty does, 68% of the footy. That's what you do to teams, and that's what you got to do to teams. So, mate, all the momentum now, because all of a sudden, you're looking at a New South Wales side that's pretty settled at the moment. And then you look at Queensland at the moment, injuries here, there, and everywhere. Coach last night going off with a hamstring injury that looks pretty serious. And, but the wash-up is, the best thing, lads, we've got a decider. Yep. About time. Yep. That's all I wanted.
Well, you got it. Now, let's talk about the Storm. 16-6, but as you said, injury to Coates. Let us in on this.
Yeah, the hamstring, by the looks of it, that looks quite serious, they're saying this morning. So just having a look at the notes, he'll have a scan later this morning and they'll work it out, but the repercussions there. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty patched-up Storm side, Marty. I'll tell you, for a Storm supporter, as I said a couple of weeks ago, just find $5, $10 every week and just keep putting them on them to win the comp, because at the moment they're a patched-up side, and I know they had 60% of the footy last night, but and the Raiders had to make 200 more tackles, but that was a Raiders side near at full strength. So, they just did it, and these young blokes who are getting their opportunities are doing it right, aren't they? That's a big thing. You're seeing some no-names, kids you've never heard of playing first grade, and all of a sudden there's Craig Bellamy he'll turn them into very good first graders come the back end and in the future. But and the big point for me, Marty, they don't need to rush the likes of Munster and Pappenhausen, who, was a little bit sore after his 2 games back, so he didn't play. So they don't need to rush these guys back, because the guys at the moment that are coming in are doing a good job.
They are, and they're building a nice little buffer too there at the top of the table. They've got a 2-game break on the Panthers, who play today. If they win likely, still a 1-game buffer on them, and also the Sharks, a couple on the Roosters, and also the Bulldogs and Dolphins. So they're in a really nice spot right now, the Storm. And I tell you what, it creates opportunity, and then when these young guys come in and fill the role, what it does, it creates wonderful depth, but it also creates a situation where you have to turn up and perform, or you find yourself playing resis the next week. So it's a great environment that they have created at the Storm, and they're in a good posse. Let's have a look at some of the other games over the weekend. So it was a nice win there, 16-6 for the Storm, but we also had some cracking games earlier on Saturday. It was the Warriors doing a number on the Broncos, 32-16, a really convincing win. They got involved early with 3 tries in the first half hour, and in the end it was just basically going through the motions late in the piece, doubling the score of Brisbane, and a nice win for the Warriors. They've had their ups and downs in recent seasons, but a victory like this, it keeps them in touch with the top 8, Sol, but they've still got a bit of work to do.
Oh, mate, massive win, considering the shellacking they got last week against the Titans. The big thing, if they couldn't beat that Broncos side yesterday, that would have been season for me, because we know Carrigan, Walsh, Haas didn't play. So you're taking the quality, and a lot of people sort of questioning, Kevy Walters, they're out of the 8 now, the Broncos. So that's a big thing. But what I've done, I've had a little look this morning, because Kevy Walters, I think, has done it very smart. He's had a look at the ladder. He knows the last Origin game is before round 20. And after that, from 20 to 27, they've got a bye, and the side's really in the 8 at the moment. They only play the Storm in the last round. So I think Kevy's looked at the draw and says, I think I can win 6 of the last, 7 games. So that's probably where his scenario is. The Warriors, though, back to them, Shorty, needed it, and in front of their home fans, who they've let down this year quite a lot. Maybe that's the game that gets them back on the front foot as well, because after last year how good they were touted at the start of the year as a top 4 side, but they're not that at the moment.
Geez, they're a long way back. They're back in 13th.
Yep. But have a look at the ladder, Marty. It's so congested, isn't it?
It's amazing. So AFL and the NRL, it's the same. We've got these crazy ladders. In the middle game, Knights 34 beat the Eels 26 for Matty Mack. He's not happy.
Yeah, but massive game for the Knights as well. If they drop that one against a Knights, an Eel side who were very good. Geez, Mitchell Moses backed up well. He played very, very well. But what about Bradman Best? You all love that name.
That's
Everyone loves that name. But he scores 2 tries the back end of the game, and one of them he limped away for it. But he's run 336 metres for a centre throughout the game. And yeah, as I said, the Knights, they've just been clicking along. They haven't really got into motion, and Kalen Ponga's not far away from returning. So we all know what happened last year at the back end of the year when Ponga went on that run to win the Dally M. Well, they win 9 in a row at the back end of the season, and that's what they needed last night. That was a massive win for them.
Indeed. And Sol, just quickly back the Friday night game, the old Golden Pointer, the Doggies sneaking home by a point over the Sharks.
Oh, amazing. What did I say Friday afternoon, Marty? I said, I can't split these two sides.
Yep.
I wish I threw the draw out.
Yeah, exactly. Go the draw, but you got Kickow over for a try score as well at about 450. It was a good, and either side to win under 8. So you nailed that one.
Yeah, no, it was a big win, wasn't it? You know, as we know, Nico Hines had the opportunity to nail a field goal at the start of Golden Point, and then Matty Burton went down the other end of the field, hit the crossbar. Everything was exciting, and then put it through. So, mate, they're firmly entrenched in the 8 at the moment, the Bulldogs, but they've got a tough draw on the run home. So I don't think Bulldogs fans will be going silly yet.
And Sol, how good when Kiko goes over in the second minute of the match. You've just got the feet up on the dashboard. About 2 minutes, 20 seconds into the game, just kick back, pop your favourite tunes on in the background and watch the old Tab Touch account swell.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah. No, very handy, very handy.
All right, let's get into the remaining fixtures for this weekend from the NRL. Have a look at these markets with Tab Touch for today. And the first game we see St George Illawarra and the Dolphins. And it's a flip of the coin job here. $1.90 each of 2. Total points on the game at 53.5. The over has been supported into $1.89. The market has it flip of the coin. How do you see it, Sol?
Yeah, I'm the same, Shorty. It's another one of those. I'm going to go either side by a certain number of points. I'll let you know when I give the multi. But for me, yeah, no Zach Lomax. He's out for the Dragons, and he's been so good. He's been their points machine, let's be totally honest. You know, the amount of points he scored, and then we all know W.I. Fidal's out as well, the hammer. He won't play, but Trey Fuller's come into that side. The big thing for me, boys, this Dolphins side this year, and we know how they're just evolving as a footy club. They're 5 from 7 away. So That's pretty good form for a side travelling away, in my humble. But if I'm going to push the barrel, I'm going to go the Dolphins in a tight one. But as I said, from a betting point of view, we might play that little one we had to play with on Friday night.
Hey, Sol, just quickly before we move on to the next game, I think at the end of the day, with Wayne Bennett leaving at the end of the season, there'll be no doubt some heavy hearts perhaps seeing him leave this franchise. But he's going to leave the franchise in pretty good shape, it must be said. He's done an excellent job of setting this franchise up and having a really good structure and a really good culture to start their lives within the NRL.
Shorty, it's a great point you make, because he is the man that sets it up. Now, a lot of people might not realise the way Wayne Bennett operates. A lot of football clubs have football managers and, you know, cool. Wayne Bennett does a lot. He is the number one man. He'll chop blokes who have been a footy manager at a footy club, and he'll take that role. So he does set it all up. Mm-hmm. And what he's done, he's set it up beautifully. But I think from day one, and this is what a lot of people didn't realise when he signed with the Rabbits, they thought he was leaving the Dolphins. From day one, he said that Christian Wolf will take over from me in 2 years. So, mate, you've hit the nail on the head. That their Q-Cup side's going good. Their kids, their juniors are going good through the system. So, mate, yeah, it's set it up and it's off and running. How quickly, too. You know, they're a very, very competitive football club.
Yeah, it's great to see. On to the next of the games. Penrith going warm at $1.29. The Cowboys $3.60. Line betting is pretty fat at 11.5, and game total on this one's at 47.5.
Yeah, they don't blow sides out of the water, the Panthers, and all the Origin players, bar one, the skipper's going to play. Isaiah Yeo's going to play. So, and we know the Cowboys have the most representation in that Queensland side. And Robson, of course, as well from New South Wales. So, yeah, mate, they're 14 from 16 at home. The Cowboys have not won at Penrith since 2016. So they'll turn up. I don't think the Panthers will blow them out of the water, but I'm going to go the Panthers at home.
All right, and the Chooks are going hot at $1.25 for the final game. West Tigers $3.90. Line betting is at 13.5, and game total, the punters have come for the under 52.5. That's into $1.86. The overs out to $1.94.
Yeah, there might be overs. You know, at the end of the day, the West Tigers have had a couple of good weeks there. They've played pretty good footy, but honestly, they're 17 from the past 18, the Roosters, and they're all lining up. I see Crichton's back So he's going to play. They're all ready to go, this Roosters side. They were good last week in the wet. It looks like it'll be wet in Sydney again today. I'm about to head up there. But, I'll go the Roosters to win and win well.
So how's this multi looking?
Mate, it's 3. We're going to have a crack, haven't we? 3 games. So they're all double figures today. I've got a bit excited. Either team to win,
Big Kev.
so by 10 or less in the St George and Dolphins game.
Yep, 10
Into
or less.
the Panthers 1-12. As I said, I don't think they'll blow the Cowboys out of the water. And then the Roosters will win 13 plus, 11.55.
Ooh.
And then we're going to go a little try scorer 1. I'm going to go Herbie Farnworth, Scott Sorensen from the Panthers. So Herbie's at the Dolphins, Scotty Sorensen, and Angus Crichton from the Roosters, $22.50. And just for you, Marty,
Yep.
a little same game combo, little same game.
Mm-hmm.
Sorensen to score, Panthers to win, Crichton to score, Roosters to win, 12.38.
38, that'll do me. Okay, beautifully done. There's value galore there. Well done. Now,
Let's load up. Let's load up.
We'll listen in on Thursday morning and talk again next Friday on Drive, and then again we'll do it next week on the Aftermath. Shorty won't be here because he's going on holidays. That's why he's up and about today.
Last
Mate, hey, what about Zano last week? Marty, what about this? What about young Zano? Played his 50th game of AFL for his club last week, didn't he, Shorty?
He did, absolutely right, Sol. You're all over it. He had a pretty decent day at the office too, the young fella. Very proud of him. He's having an excellent season there with the Hurricanes, and he loves his footy. He's very dedicated. So let's hope he can continue on at this rate, and good luck to his boys for the remainder of the season. He's filthy honest because we come back a day too late for his first game back from the holidays. He's had a bit of a blow up at the Mama Bear, and that didn't go down too well. Our first holiday for 12 months as a family, and she's copped a little cook for not coming back a day earlier so we can be out there.
Has to be better than that.
Anyway, I think he's got a few games of footy to worry about in the years to come, so I think we'll be able to work around that, Sol.
Brilliant. And I tell you, Marty, I know I'm probably holding you up, but
You are,
his jersey's Shorty's jersey's flagged Rabbitohs, the under-21s. They beat the Dragons yesterday. So T. Sullivan was up and about, so I'm very, very happy. Well done, lads.
All the best. Thanks, Sol.
Oh, yes, Sol.
The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
First away security guard from Hole Shot, Glasgow Boy. Crooked Kelly pushes across. Fifth and wide, Go Get 'em Greta. Then Clifton Thane, Scarlet Strager and West on Panda. Security guard a length in front of Hole Shot. 3 away, Crooked Kelly. Then Go Get 'em Greta and Glasgow Boy. Security guard joined by Hole Shot. Crooked Kelly hooks deep. Hole Shot the rail. Look out, Crooked Kelly's got them. Crooked Kelly sails to the lead. Flashing up for second, Go Get 'em Greta. Third, Glasgow
I love this win on Friday night. Crooked Kelly, smart dog, I reckon. Small dog, come from the 8, but ran a very good closing sectional. Adam Smithson, the trainer of Crooked Kelly, joins us. Welcome to the Aftermath, Adam.
Holy.
Really well, thanks, Ad. Great to have you up nice and early on this Sunday morning with us. Congrats on the win, Crooked Kelly. I know it was only a novice grade 5 race, but gee, Marty and I were chatting yesterday, and we were really impressed with the way that the dog hit the line. It was in the run, you might have been a little bit nervous, but gee, the last 100 metres really did finish the race off well. I thought Ryan Levitsky called it beautifully.
Yeah, she was in all sorts of bother down the back. She got held wide, and that's sort of not her go. She wants to be left alone. So up the straight, the 2 dogs on the inside sort of came together a bit, and she got the swoop on them. So we'll take it.
Yeah, I thought it was a smart dog sort of a run, because even though she was wide, as you said, I didn't know she likes being on her own. She's a bit like me, and I can understand that, Adam. But she never really overcommitted, did she? She let the other ones go and said, right, I'm going to run you down in the straight.
Yeah, exactly right. Unfortunately that's her to a T. She's early doors. She had all the ability in the world, and she got knocked about a couple of times. So she gets a bit hesitant when she gets crowded. But no, it's good to see her get the win. We've had quite a few dramas with her over the last 12 months. So the boys were over the moon, and it's just good to see her win.
She doesn't look overly big to my eye.
No, she's only little, but as a baby, she was the one ruling the roost. She was pushing everyone around and bossing everyone around. So she's got a lot of go in her, but no, she's only a little thing.
Well, hopefully that win can really help with her confidence and she can get back on the winners list and keep rolling with it. Your star dog in the kennel at the moment went round last night in the free-for-all over the 488 metres. It was another excellent run from my Anarchy boy. He's been tremendous at this Mandurah 488 circuit, having the 11 starts at the track for 8 wins. Last night there, just got caught up on the inside and Molfetta Cruz got the head start and the ping around, but my Anarchy boy stuck on really well. Gee, he's been a wonderful dog for you in recent times, and this 4 to 5 month period where Cannington's having a break and Mandurah's going is certainly going to be to the benefit of this fella. He absolutely loves the place.
Yeah, he does. I don't think he's ever ran a bad race at Mandurah. He's just an honest dog. He loves the corner start, but unfortunately the last 10, 12 starts he's just been sort of ruled by box draws, just drawing 6 and 8, very often, and he just struggled a bit, lost a bit of confidence there and was blowing the start. But he began a bit better last night, which was probably to his own detriment because he sort of got caught in the hustle and bustle there early and the other dogs got away. But no, he's one of those dogs you can go to the track and he's going to run a race regardless of where he is.
Most definitely. Another dog that you knew you could take to the track any time and he would run out of his skin was the great Vice Grip. And I just thought that this morning would be a great opportunity to check in with you and see how Vice Grip's going, whether or not how many bitches he's had the opportunity to serve, and no doubt he's enjoying life in retirement. But brings back some great memories, Vice Grip. What an incredible dog he was for you and helping to set you up.
Oh, 100%. It's one of those things you don't really realise how good it was until you look back at what he did. And at the time and stage where Shantae and I were, he was just phenomenal what he did and how he did it all. You sort of sit back and just sort of sit back in awe of what he did and how he went about it, just his racing pattern and that just never give up attitude just sort of blows you away that I didn't soak it in enough while it was actually happening. That's the only downside. But he's had 4 or 5 bitches, and from all reports people are happy with him, but the oldest litter's only I think 12 or 13 months old, so we've got a bit of wait before we can see how he's going to go.
What's the normal number for serving bitches for a greyhound?
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
It depends, I guess, on where you are and what profile you have and the like. Like the real high, top-end sort of stud dogs go to the max, so 14 a month they serve. But being based over here in WA, it's a little more challenging. But generally, when you're in a scenario like Vice Grip, you really hope that 1 or 2 of these litters hit the ground and go really well. Mm-hmm. And then there will be, hopefully from that, the opportunity for 1 or 2 of the people that have had those litters to come back to him again. Yep. And the more pups you have on the ground, obviously the greater opportunity you've got to have them sort of spread the message for you and let people know. But he was such a great chaser. He had so many great attributes that I think would make him a wonderful stud dog, and a great temperament as well. And I think back to that Perth Cup finally, he drew awkwardly in the squeeze and was up against a high-quality lineup. But he was just a dog that, as Adam touched on, such a wonderful competitor. He hated being beaten, and that's the sort of trait that many breeders are really looking for, Ed.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You see a lot of the young dogs nowadays, they take a bit to work it out, and they just don't have that drive early. And for him to do what he did, no matter where he was or what sort of run he got, he just his determination, as you said, not to lay down and get beat. He just had that awesome will to win. So hopefully, I've got a litter of his myself here that are 12 months old, and the temperament's certainly thrown into them. They're fantastic dogs. So hopefully we can get just that will to win is a massive head start.
Excellent. Who's the mum of those pups?
They're out of a bitch called High Sky.
Excellent.
She was quite a handy bitch herself, so
she could run. She could absolutely run. Anybody tuned in that's either from the East Coast or here locally that's got a bitch coming in season that would like to use Vice Grip, what's the best way to go about it? Are they just get in contact with you? Is he literally on the couch at your place just waiting to get the phone call and have his next girlfriend?
Yeah, pretty much. On all the adverts, there's my contact details on there, and yeah, he's a bit of a mix here. He's either on the couch or in the kennel. He doesn't like leaving the kennel. He's the boss in there, so he sort of struts his stuff in the kennel and bosses everyone around. So no, we've got straws, sort of a handful of straws spread out around Australia. So yeah, just give me a call and we'll be able to get you a straw.
And what about runners this week, Adam? Any to follow?
I've got a stack of pups coming through at the moment. I've got actually a couple of handy dogs in qualies on Tuesday that I think might have quite a bit of a future. But yeah, just going steady. There's a couple of. I'll bring an all gold back on Tuesday over 400, and he's been trialling somewhat near his best. So he's probably the best one for me on Tuesday. But yeah, over the next 3 months, I'm just waiting to see. I've got probably about 10 or 12 pups coming through.
Excellent. And what's the breeding on those? Are they ones that you bred yourself, or did you buy them as pups?
Oh, there's a handful of pups that have just been sent over as pre-trainers from Victoria, but I've got some Aston DB Panadero Opal pups here, actually. So, yeah, pretty keen to get them to the track. They look pretty smart early on.
Excellent. Great catching up with you this morning, Ad. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on the Aftermath. Look forward to seeing some of these pups hit the ground. We'll get around all gold on Tuesday and give Vice Grip a pat for us. He was an absolute star. We loved him, and hopefully he gets a few more visitors in the upcoming months. Enjoy your Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, Adam.
The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Comrade Rosa, Osbred Flirt at the 450. Bubble Rock out wide's in front. Ballentyne, she's working home down the outside. Somajika's still there. Likewise, Zoe's Promise. The far side, Vienna Princess. Opal Ridges further back and Roots over on the outside. But here comes Ballentyne looming up over on the outside of the inside. Bubble Rock. Samana runs home, but Ballentyne's in front by a length and a half. What a wonder there she is, Ballentyne. And Ballentyne's won the Tats Tiara from Samana.
She was amazing there yesterday, winning the Tats Tiara from the stablemate Samana. Racetrack Ralphy's right across this. Morning, Ralphy.
Good morning, boys. Yeah, well, I mean, how long since we've seen a mare of this such consistency?
Unbelievable.
That win.
Yep.
She deserved that win. She won the Doomben on a soft ground. And the only, sometimes, you know, a horse can get an unfair tag. In this case, it's a wet tracker. No, she's great on wet, but she's good on dry too. So this was start number 9 for the prep. So it's as much a tribute to the stable as it is to the horse. And she just keeps delivering.
Big time. You've just nailed it. So to her, oh my goodness, 9 runs into a prep. Surely you've had enough, darling. Keep me going. I'm enjoying it. She loves racing. She loves competing. And you have a look at the horses that have beaten her when runner-up at her last couple, beaten narrow margins behind I Wish I Win. And then Steffi Magnetica had a massive weight advantage over Ballentyne last time out in the Strat. It was a great performance from Ballentyne. She just keeps on fronting up. Prior to that, took out the Doomben 10,000. She's just a proven winner. And to be fair, this was a step back in class for her. She really did look to have a bit on this opposition. And it's one thing to say that. There were a couple of people when discussing and analysing this race saying, look, this isn't her grand final. Be wary getting involved. But it was just a case where class came to the fore and she was too good.
Oh, look, spot on. And it wasn't, I mean, you know, it wasn't an unfair thing to say beforehand either because, you know, if you filter races in big races when doing form and saying, right, who's really set for this, you're going to finish on top over the 12 months of the racing season, aren't you? But then you always have to respect horses of talent. And as you said, Shorty, the other reality is that the field didn't have a great deal of depth to it, but she just kept fronting up, and the wide barrier was no concern. The track played pretty well. In fact, the track played extremely fast. And looking at some of the results here, I've already seen the great man Dominic Byrne say about it, the insane speed of race 1 there, won by Cigar Flick. So I think there's going to be a lot of trust in this meeting, and we've seen in recent years the Brisbane Carnival hold up form-wise. None more famous than last year without a fight, winning the big double down here, and I expect it to again.
Ralphie, the other really win of note, it was great to see the Melbourne Cup winner Vow and Declare back into the winners list, and it was really, refreshing to hear the owners post-race. They were quizzed on whether or not they'd go back to the Melbourne Cup, and they said, look, we don't think that that's the right thing to do. The horse has been incredible to us right the way through, probably not quite going to that level anymore. We don't want to sort of burn the candle too much. Let's enjoy some of these sort of lower style races while he's still enjoying his racing before we send him into retirement.
Oh, spot on. I wouldn't be surprised if they find a couple of those wait for age races in Sydney during the spring rather than down here, because I think they said the Zipping Classic at the end of the carnival. But gee, there's some big prize money now with Peter V'landys's moves. And the reality is with Ballentyne, you just need to filter in good track. He just doesn't handle tracks with significant give in them anymore. I think he did in his younger days. He was okay. I know Billy Egan after the Doomben Cup just laughed when he was asked about it because the horse just didn't go a yard. But you know, let's underline it's pretty real. Second up, Australian Cup. That's pretty hand form line. Cascadian, Pride of Jenny, a Tissue, Mr. Brightside. So he was only beaten 2 lengths there. So he just keeps running up. The same but different to Ballentyne, and a tribute to the stable there as well, who got the Quinella with Young Werther.
Righto, how do we go at Caulfield? What was the track playing like, conditions, etc., before we have a look at the results?
Track was, well, at first I thought, oh no, you've completely stuffed this up again. Mm-hmm. But the track was playing as it should play with the rail out 12 metres. The best part of the track at Caulfield is lanes sort of 14 to 17, so generally it's a leader's highway as long as the jockeys don't stay hard the fence. And early doors, it wasn't good, and particularly when that winner came down the outside fence, I thought, oh no, it's going to be dangerous. But it evened up later in the day and played as it should. I think Damien Lane changed everything. All the jockeys thinking there with Legio 10 in race 6 because he had the brains to just stick to his knitting, and it nearly paid off because it nearly picked off Barrack Hill as a really promising sprinter. And that changed the rest of the quaddie legs as riders knew where the best going was.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, first event over the 1,000. First settler for Price and Kent. Michael D wins.
Look, I've continuously said to you boys, I feel like a broken record because I've said that these 2-year-olds just waiting for one to step up. We might have found one. Its trial leading in was really good. And Blue Renegade didn't turn up. It's probably had enough for the prep, and, it's its first prep, etc. But it just smashed them. So don't worry about it at this time of year. We often see horses that can emerge, and this was a really good performance. And I think I wouldn't be at all surprised if this goes on to really special things, this horse. So first settler, definitely one of the black bookers from the meeting.
All right, very nice. We'll pop the asterisk next to first settler out of the first. On to race number 2, and that man you touched on, Damien Lane to the 4 with Kin, gave it the perfect run. Mrs. Chrissy, runner-up, another really nice run. She's right in the zone at the moment, Mrs. Chrissy, another good run. And back in third was Luna Cat.
Yeah, and I was keen on Mr. Chrissy to place on side, knowing the talent of Kin, but generally she's conceding 6 lengths, and there you go, Damien Lane banging right on the speed, and from there I thought, well, it's going to be a sad watch, and sure enough, he's picked her off in the last stride. And follow this horse because it's got genuine closing speed. On the hard summer tracks with the rail out, it's just too hard to make ground. But when there's a bit of give in the track, and just not conceding impossible starts, this is a horse that can really be followed with confidence. She is going to be. I think she'll pick it fence from here. To be honest, she's got a really strong SP profile for a reason, but that's why she wasn't sort of winning those races. But some of her sectionals were amazing, and like I said, on tracks with give, you can certainly make significant ground. And the first 2 winners of the day are the 2 horses to have a lot of confidence in.
Okay, and the third, Little Jack, wandered out towards the outside rail for Alex Ray and also Jason Maskeel, but was well clear of the opposition.
Yeah, so I think we'll bracket these two because they're both benchmark 78s, races 3 and 4 over 2,000 metres. And what was it? I think it was 9 lengths faster this race than the other, which doesn't mean they're 9 lengths better, of course. It just means that this race was run at a real fast speed and the on-paces blew up. Trocidi and Golden Crusader. Trocidi, I think it just needs to find its feet, but it clearly wasn't right in the day. And Golden Crusader probably 2,000 saw it out, but particularly at that pace. So they were punctured on the turn, and then the others sort of fanned into it. Little Jack down the outside fence, as you said. Look, it's got some upside. That sail win was on a real dog track, and it's lightly raced. So I do want to see it again, though. Always worry when they concede ground early. What might happen next start. So I don't want to be shoulders back on it next start. Desperado, just, rock hard fit in the zone, typical Kieran Maher horse. When Shortte misses the start by 5 lengths and runs second, you want to be careful of that form.
Absolutely. On to race 5. The Lane Train back in town again, this time aboard Bossy Nick defeating Enna's Dream and Patchouli Dream.
Look, he's a star full stop, obviously, but he is so good at just saying, well, I've got a wide draw, it doesn't matter. I'll just cover a bit of ground, have the horse happy, and that's what I did here. Enna's Dream is very fit now, third up. So these sort of basic types. The fact that Shiva was pretty soft in the market pre-race and didn't quite finish off, I'd be very wary of knocking it next start. I think it might be ready because just need that little blowout. Its jump outs were terrific, but just a bit soft in the market probably reflects just short of a gallop.
You mentioned Barraquil beating Legio 10 in race number 6.
Yeah, look, put a big circle around Legio 10. This horse has phenomenal talent, a bit like same but different from the same stable with Kin earlier in the day, and just hasn't quite put it together. First start and blinkers, it's now ready. Barraquil is a real emerging horse, and I don't want to knock it, but always wary. Fourth run, first prep. Won them all, and this was the most narrow. Obviously did things wrong in the straight, and it's got some serious upside. And this race had a bit of depth because Jewellery was very good. As I said to you boys after it won last up, just be careful, and a get-back type horse, and sure enough got beaten. But in a strong race, and the Open's been going really well. So I think it's a type of race we can trust, but Legio 10 is the one to put the big circle around.
All right, on to race number 7 for the 3-year-olds and Miss Rubini. This was absolutely truckloaded day. It was one of the better back runners anywhere around Australia, and it won a class with a capital C. This is a really nice performance, Ralphie. What are we doing with Miss Rubini heading forward?
Look, conceded ground to Regan White and Eugenius were probably in the right spot. But I reckon Ethan Brown looked at what Damien Lane did in the previous race and said, right, I'm going to chance my arm in the right spot, and really good ride. And I think the margin probably didn't reflect that she had a bit of dominance over the rest of the field, but position running made it a close finish. Regal Might, that's good enough to win again next start, and Eugenius is going well. Pretty basic sort of 3-year-olds, but at this time of year they're probably going to meet each other again, so Miss Roombini is the best horse from this for sure.
Whistlefield was the winner. Tom Dabernick having a good day. Linda Meach rides, but what about the run of Fleetwood?
So punters are in a coma there if they took the short. So that was all. Look, the risk to me was barrier 1. The risk to me wasn't a barrier attendant holding it. But of course, under the rules of racing, punters do their money cold. But look, for those clever enough to put Whistlefield in the quaddie, good on them. It was a nice day, boys.
Indeed, 62.54 that quad. I think the man on the other end of the line might have had some of it. On to race number 9. Wycliffe for Celine Gaudray defeating Milford and dashing like the runs of the first couple over the line here.
Yeah, spot on. I think Milford's better drier, handles it okay, but on a dry track it probably wins, but I only say probably because Wycliffe smashed him and he only third up. So this is a horse who, I think it's his third prep with Kieran Maher. Always had a bit of talent. It's just now a real happy horse in the zone. Sandown was impossible to start prior, so this is the third of the Black Bookers. Wycliffe for sure. Don't know why it won't win again. Hit the road, Jack. Very interesting run there. The fourth horse there from New Zealand loves wet ground. So if I get a wet winter over the next month, it will find a win for sure.
Horse always had ability. Won the last. Reinberg for the Hayes Camp and Michael D beats Sir Lawrence. And here's our Bonnie Vale.
Yeah, it seems like most weeks I'm talking to you boys. I'm talking about a horse of Hayes stable that's, deep into its prep and it keeps winning. So, look, I think the horse that got beaten is favourite, Short Lane. That's its first start on wet ground. Didn't really handle it, had to dip. Follow Short Lane. It was favourite for a reason. It's a really good, talented horse and better than the off-season. So, horses to follow, the first 2 winners and definitely Wycliffe. And for those who got beaten, Legio 10's going to win for sure and Short Lane back on the dry.
Beautifully done, Ralphie. Punters that would like to find out more and chime into quaddies just like that one from yesterday. RacetrackRalphy.com. Good on you, Ralphie.
Good on you, boys.
The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
0427 789 571.
That's the Retrovision text line, Marty, and not just for the Sunday Savers, but we love getting your feedback. Don't be shy, send it through. How are the Eagles going to go today? What did you think of the T20 World Cup? What about the win from Freo yesterday? Send through your thoughts. Did you have a big win? What about a fill-up? If you got a fill-up out of yesterday, send it through. We love hearing from our listeners.
Yes. Now, we're racing today Broome and also Bunbury. So we've got a double-header to bet on today. Also, Pacing from Calabar Berrin, and we are chasing down there at Mandurah. So plenty to bet on today on the WATAB.
On the Aftermath, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty. Good to be with you, boys. I was just listening to the news there, and they obviously want to replace Joe Biden. I've got someone for him, Shorty. Terry Kaiser, born on August the 1st, 1939. He played Bernie Lomax in the weekend at Bernie's. So he's still alive. So.
Bradley. Oh, boy.
Wasn't one of his finest, was it?
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Wasn't one of his finest. The great man.
It's a big country over there. You would have thought that they've got a few to choose from, and that's the couple. And I got a chuckle out of the banter that was going to and fro in regards to their golf game. And old Donald was having none of him going off a handicap of 4. You're absolutely lying. I've seen you play. You're not off a handicap of 4. So you would have thought there'd be some more pressing issues, perhaps.
Well,
but anyway, we digress. Hey, Brad, before we get into the footy, I heard that you caught up with a couple of wonderful human beings on Friday, Crackers Keenan and one of my favourite men on the planet, Smokey Dawson, on Friday. How's everything going with those two boys, particularly Smokey? I haven't seen him in a while. How's he going?
Sure did. We wound back the clock, and Smokey holds court, as you know, Marty, and he had a beautiful red wine and something nice to eat at Il Duca across the road from the MCG. Sure, it was a wonderful afternoon, just sharing a few memories and stories. He's still going strong. He fell off his wallet, he broke his neck, and that's all good. But no, other than that, mate, he still loves. He still gets along to the games. Does a little bit for the National Indigenous Radio Service occasionally now, him and Crackers. But so he's still plying his trade when he can.
Also, I got a little text just out of the blue yesterday. Did you debut in your football career about 45 years ago?
Yes, I did. Kevin Kelly, my great mate, Magic Hands, the horse guy.
Yes.
He sent me a text just to remind me we've been great mates for a long, long time. He said, yesterday it would have been Shorty, 1979. It was June 30, and we played Swan Districts at Fremantle Oval. I debuted down there in front of a mad, screaming South Fremantle crowd. Marty, yeah, absolutely 100% correct.
How did the debut game go, Brad?
All right. Had a few mishaps. I could tell you at a sporting nights moment about it, but I started on the bench, only 19th and 20th man in those days, Shorty. When you're off, you're off. When you're on, you're on. So, but one thing I do recall, because it was the Friday night before, Shorty, and we were all in the coach's room, and Malcolm Brown was barking the orders, telling us how we're going to pluck the Swans feathers the next day, and he said, now, going to be a big crowd, because remember those days, Shorty, you used to work until 12:30, and then people used to flood into Fremantle.
Yes.
And he said, it's going to be a big crowd. Everybody be in the rooms by 1 o'clock. None of you bastards be late. Well, it was my first game, Marty. I was very excited and, didn't want to be late. I arrived at Fremantle Oval at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, dear. It's plenty
What's
of time.
the Colts? What's the reserves? Thought about doing the scoreboard for a while, which I was doing the year before.
Plenty of time
with
to
the
get
McGilvray boys.
Plenty of time to get the nerves out of the system anyway, Brad. I'm sure you would have got a bit of advice from the punters in the can bar there under the Moreton Bay figs. Geez, didn't they? You'd get draw a crowd back in the day, and it used to be wonderful atmosphere there at Fremantle Oval. I used to love going as a little fella.
I still watch, I enjoyed, turning over and watching the AFLW play there mainly now. But, it's great to see people on the terraces and, you could sit under my mother and her friends used to sit under the scoreboard in the same position all the time. And, it was a fabulous place. You kicked to the Mire end of the ground. Sure, do you remember that?
Yes.
It's sort of the northern end of the ground, and the hospital end of the ground was the other end. So, fantastic memories. And one of the great surfaces still, Marty, Fremantle Community Oval now.
I've got bad news for you, though, Brad. Your old team couldn't do it for you yesterday. Those dirty, rotten Royals, you mentioned Mel Brown, 10-8-68. It was televised, this game. I watched most of it, 10-5-65, the Bullies going down in a thriller.
Oh, we've had a bad week. You know, we had to lay to rest the great John Todd. We had to lay to rest Tommy Grilicic and, of course, Craig Yope. Yeah. So it's been a bad week. So we'll cop the 3-point loss, Marty, and keep striding fast. Valet to those three gentlemen in particular, because three magnificent men you'd never meet.
Correct. Yeah, that is for sure. 100%. Rusty Gates off the text line. Quickly get a few in. Boys, for any teams in the AFL or NRL who have players going down with hamstring injuries, there is one surefire way to get them up and running in a couple of days, and that is contact the Afghanistan cricket team's medical staff to unearth the secret.
Oh, wasn't that some humour?
That was hilarious. That was hilarious, wasn't it? Yeah. And well done to India. I mean, well done to Kohli. He's retired now, but that was a big win by them over the South Africans overnight, Shorty. I'm sure you would have taken a little bit of it in, no doubt. But,
that's great.
Yeah, well, the Australians, you know, they'll... it was just a bit off Broadway, wasn't it? You know, I know the punters would have been, you know, invested in it, you know, from that point of view. But, yeah, the fact that it really is in AFL season and a lot of else going on as well, it sort of was off Broadway a little bit, wasn't it, I think, this tournament?
And the streaming service that hosted it, very few people actually have access to it and pay for it. It's different if it's on Fox or free to air, but it's a very dangerous tightrope that sports play when they take away big tournaments from the rank and file people that have followed the sport for a long period of time. And I feel for cricket lovers that weren't able to follow this tournament. The times were a little bit wacky too. 10:30 wasn't disgraceful. It could have been sort of worse. 10:30 to sort of 1 o'clock-ish was the night, and then in the morning, a lot of people at work, 8:30 through to sort of around about 11 o'clock. So the time zone didn't help us out too much either, but it might have been, given that the Aussies got knocked out prior to the semis, it might have been a nice one for us to not have to see too much of, Brad.
Well, I'm sure you're going to talk cricket later in the morning, but I just get the feeling now it's time for change. You know, Warner will go, and you know maybe a few others will, perhaps just depart the scene, and we get a few more Fraser McGurk type players into the team, and see how we go from here.
Yeah, it's good they didn't play him. It was pretty smart.
Look, I think to be fair, I was staggered that Wade played in front of Inglis. So when I did the podcast preview with Sauce, I said, we went through our teams, and I had Inglis there because he'd been there all summer pretty much. Yeah. And he said, no, Wade will be the keeper. And I said, and we've got Matt Shortte, who's dominated Big Bash cricket for coming on 3 straight seasons now, and also Jake Fraser McGurk, who's probably in the top 3 hottest players in the IPL right now. Surely one of these two guys. No, Dave Warner's locked in for the entire. So clearly the prerogative that was put through, and Mitch and Sauce obviously speak a fair bit, the older players, because of the fact they've had cookies in the jar, and that's been the Australian way for a long period of time, they maybe get that one tournament too many. And that was to be fair, the game that the Aussies got knocked out, Warner was out early on in the first over, and Wade came to the crease at an important part of the game. He missed out and didn't get too many. So you can sometimes go one too many. They've got ready replacements, so, Brad, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I think now, and as good as they've been, and well done to them, congratulations, but I think they've had to get rid of a few of those anchors around the Australian cricket team's set-up's neck now, and they'll be able to move a little bit more now, a little bit more freely, as you say, and, thanks for the memories, boys, and time
move
to go.
on. Yep.
And it won't be too long. The big 3, of course, or 4, because you throw in Nathan Lyon, but Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark, they've played every format, every game for coming on probably 7, 8, 9 years now. At some point, they are going to just deteriorate. They're going to wear out. They've just played so much cricket. The run coming through, you can't help but feel for a few of the guys that have been there waiting. Unfortunately, they're around the same age. By the time the door opens up, they're just about going to be missing the boat, and it's going to be the opportunity for young firebrand quicks coming through that are going to leapfrog all those guys that have been there and potentially should have been given an opportunity.
Now, Brad, let's get Lisa Vellenbrook straight off the text for Retrovision. Morning, guys and team. Brad, Clarko not happy with milking free kicks. He's warned umpires to be on guard. Seriously, if the boot was on the other foot, would we be nothing to see here? Neil Bullen, great rugby try, proved costly for Melbourne, and Logan McDonald absolutely shanked it. Normally it would have been like shelling peas. Guys, umpires all get coached the same way, so why are there so many different interpretations in games, especially Cats and Essendon last night? It was a shocker. Be interesting to hear what the AFL has to say. Eagles should win. They look good on paper. Great service at Ellenbrook Retrovision from Michael. Didn't know you, Marty and Brad, but his boss is in Bunbury Wood. Happy with the deal. Have a great week, Lisa of Ellenbrook.
Good on you, Lisa.
Very astute. Well done, Lisa. Yeah, she hit on the mark. I mean, Clark can win all he likes. I mean, they were there. Unfortunately, if you do dumb things, you get penalties. And look, I think there's no doubt about that. The umpiring last night in the Essendon game certainly turned the axis of that game quite dramatically. And again, but maybe it was Draper's payback for lying on the ball early in the year. I don't know, but the main reason.
A bit. There's about six of them in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But I think, I'm just saying, he's one personally where he no doubt, front on contact should have been a goal. Swings and roundabouts. I get it. And the reason is because there's 4 umpires out there, Lisa, and they're all drilled a different way. That's simple as that. There's, the interpretations is purely and simply up to the individual. And even though they're a team of 4, so to speak, you can often get 4 different opinions with the interpretation. That's the problem.
Okay, let's quickly go back. Brisbane and Melbourne on Friday night. It was Brisbane just doing enough. Melbourne were plucky. They've got a lot of young kids. They've got a very young side, Melbourne. People are not realising this fact, and I thought they were great. Brisbane, they just have this ability to switch off in games, and it's going to cost them.
A bad kicking too, 11-20.
Yeah,
this should have been a shellacking.
Yeah.
If it's 20-11, this is an absolute cakewalk.
Well, the other thing, well done to Melbourne. They found a way. They really they out-muscled and out-hunted Brisbane early for the first 3 quarters. You're right, Marty. My issue now, there is youth involved, but, geez, they're not running out games, and they didn't run out against North Melbourne, and they didn't run out again the other night. You just can't win games of football if you don't kick goals in the last quarter. They didn't kick one. I mean, you need to be 10 in front. But, Brisbane got out of jail. That just goes to show that they're human too, Marty, because I'm like you. We saw this with Sydney a few years ago, Shorty, when they were behind the 8 ball and came charging home. You only have to trip over once when you're playing catch-up footy. So Brisbane has still got a little bit of work to do. They'll be happy to get the 4 points and keep going. But Melbourne just worried about their fitness levels, whether they actually run out a full game. And they're the boy with the barrow now. They've got the job ahead of them.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. On to the big win of the day. Fremantle done something that very few other sides have been able to do this season, and that's knock off Sydney at the SCG. This was a huge win for the Dockers. A number of players for Fremantle really stood up in this game, and Sydney, to their credit, they just kept coming, and when they got going in that third quarter and late in the fourth quarter, you thought, well, Freo aren't going to be able to hold them out. There's so much quality through the middle of the ground for Sydney, but to Freo's credit, they just kept on trucking right throughout the course of the game, and they had a little bit of luck after the siren, obviously, with it going their way, and not being able to score a point. Logan McDonald, a goal, would have won the game, but if you put yourself in good positions in games, you get the luxury of sometimes having a rub of the green.
Yeah, big win by Fremantle. Well done to them. They'll take that every day of the week. A lot of their players played extremely well. They had the better players on the ground, as you said, Shorty. The key playmakers for the Swans were down, particularly in the first half, as you say. But look, they came out slower than Fleetwood yesterday. That's their problem at the moment, Sydney, because they're, the last 3 or 4 weeks, not only yesterday, but against Carlton and other teams, they're spotting teams 3 to 4 goals, and they're so well drilled, and look, they won't lose any sleep about that because of the fact that they're still high and mighty on top of the ladder. But Logan McDonald would like his time over again from that point of view. But again, a little bit similar to Brisbane on Friday night. Fremantle played exceptionally well, but there was a few errant kicks in front of goal by the normally reliable Sydney Swans. So who knows? Whiskers, you only had Whiskers, you'd be your uncle. But bad kicking's bad footy.
Okay, Western Bulldogs did enough to beat North Melbourne and bank the 4 points.
Yeah, he spoke to the coach. He wasn't overly happy. As you play, and we knew that would be the case, Marty. We spoke about it, Shorty, off air during the week. And, North Melbourne have trouble defending the MCG, the bigger grounds, but they're pretty good under the roof. And I think the Bulldogs and Bevo expected that. They jumped well, and then it sort of was a little bit of an arm wrestle. They had a really comfortable lead for most of the day, but, they'll take that. And because North have been in a little bit of a vein of form over the last month, they get to play them again sometime down the track, and I think they'll be changing things up a little bit to make sure that they don't get as close as they did yesterday.
Gee, Marcus Bontempelli's in a rich vein of form. Another excellent game there yesterday, Brad.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, there's key players for every team. When Cripps fires, Carlton fire. When the Dogs fire, Bontempelli's on fire. Obviously, you go to Gold Coast. If Noah Anderson's on fire, Gold Coast are on fire. It's sort of that's the way it is. Dacos at Collingwood, etc. So, there's one in every team. Although, yesterday he was, he had a bit of a back spasm. He was never in any doubt of not playing, but he seems to play well whether he's either got a back spasm or he's ill. He always turns it on, that's for sure.
You mentioned the Gold Coast and Collingwood, and you mentioned Nick Dacos. Jeez, he did a few things in that match that make you stand up and take notice, didn't he?
Oh, he's a wonderful player. Some people want to knock him still. I don't know. I mean,
it's all
sorts of things. I can get the hard ball. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's flaws in everybody's game. You play to your strengths, and if you get your strengths mainly right, you can get away with that sort of thing. Dusty Martin's been doing it for years. Petrarca's been doing it for years. They're not really two-way runners. I mean, or Dacos is. I mean, he's down the back, he's in the middle, he's up the front, he's everywhere. He's like salt and pepper, everything. And then you get to a stage where, well done to the Gold Coast. I thought Collingwood would have got them, and they looked like they were going to, but eventually the numbers work against you, Shorty, as you say, because, how many times have they found themselves in that position where they have to try and pick up ground to not only get in front but go on with it? More often than not, they win the game. Yesterday, they came up short. So well done to the Gold Coast, and now over to them because they've got to try and start winning a couple of games away from home. They were my shooter for the year, as you know, boys, and I was getting a little bit worried there because I thought they just can't win away from home, but they get North Melbourne next start. Well, that's one they do have to win, but well done to them. They got the money. Collingwood, don't panic. They'll be right. They'll come through again.
Big time. Yeah, and look, I think to the credit of the Suns, when Collingwood got the head of steam up, it's very hard to halt momentum and come back again. This would have been really good for their confidence, and I think Hardwick's he hasn't shied away from the fact that they need to get better on the road, but I'll tell you what, it's a good starting point if you keep winning all your home games.
And had King back in to straighten them up a bit. And look, there's no doubt. I mean, Anderson was fantastic. Rao's a real competitor. So was Miller. But the other thing was Lycosis. I mean, he didn't have a lot of ball, but geez, I tell you what, he changes directions of games. His kicking is just sublime at times. So if he can, stay on top of his game, there's a chance of getting into the bottom end of the 8 for sure.
Giants in trouble.
Yeah, I've been worried about him for a while. I think you have too, Marty and Shorty. They just haven't displayed what we thought. The week before, people were tipping them to beat Sydney. Sydney, pretty much held them comfortably. In the end, it was a long margin, even though it was only 2.5 goals or something. But, they're not the same side. I just wonder what is going on there. Rankin absolutely tore him a new one there at one stage last night. I don't know what he's going to do, Kingsley. I don't know. He might be an impact coach, Shorty. He might be one of those guys who came on the scene. There's about this time last year that both them and Carlton were just on the beginning of their run. Now, this doesn't look like there's going to be a run there this year. So Carlton's up. And GWS is not. And well done to Matthew Nix in Adelaide. And I suppose, again, they were a little bit of talent. Walker really helps, Fogarty and blokes like that. When he comes back in the side, he takes all the pressure off them. So, but he's 34. So they've got to try and
Phil Thorpe's not far away. He'll play in the next week.
Yeah. Well, that's right. They need to get him back out in the park, as I say. But well done to them. And, again, a bit like Melbourne, GWS have it all to do.
I was giving them sort of a little bit of a leave pass. They did have a bad run with some injuries for a while there, the Giants, but they've got most of their players back now. There's not really too many excuses for them. They need to find a way to get that hunger that they had back last year, and it's just another example. There's just no guarantees that you're going to get yourself back into that same spot. Last year, they all but beat Collingwood in that prelim final last year. 100%. Collingwood going to win the grand final. Now they find themselves right up against it to even make the finals this time round.
Speaking of Bevo a few weeks ago when the Dogs beat him, and I said, look, what you got to do is it reminds me of the Eagles when it was Cousins, Kerr, Judd, et cetera, et cetera. If you could keep them in a huddle, you were right. It's once they get on the outside, and that's what they call the orange tsunami, Shorty, because once they feed the ball out, and it's Whitfield, and it's Kelly, and it's, and they were younger then, mind you, and if you can lasso them, so to speak, and keep them in, and just force Tom Green and these blokes to kick it forward, etc., that's a really good way of stopping that orange tsunami, which we haven't seen for some time now. So their win-loss ratio this year has been putrid compared to this time last year.
Geelong, a much-needed win. They started the season on fire, winning their first 7, and they'd been struggling of late. But this is a big win, 45 points. Obviously, many people talking about the umpiring and the likes, but to the credit of the Cats, they played their best game for a pretty significant period of time here, and some of their younger guys really stood up there last night. I thought Bowes was excellent. Ollie Dempsey played a wonderful game. He's a young talent that's really coming along nicely, and Brian Myers is so important for the Cats, and he just got off the chain at different stages last night and was able to set up some really key forward moves, and Dangerfield back into the side for the Cats was also really, really important for them.
Yeah, no doubt. But they haven't, that's what's their second win in about 6 or 7 games, I think, boys. So, they've always had a list that you think, well, they're going to be more than competitive. They're going to be certainly competitive down at home. I wouldn't be losing sleep if I was an Essendon supporter. Look, they've been, pretty good for a while. They're just in a little bit of a holding pattern at the moment. Only won 2 out of their last 5 or so. But the bottom line is that, there's room for improvement for Essendon, and they did have a healthy win yesterday in the reserves as well. There's a few players running around there. It's just a little bit of stock taking to be done, and they'll turn it back on. But Geelong, it's down to the Cattery now on the way home. That's going to be their big lifeline, I reckon. And they're currently sitting in 5th. That may change. That might alter going forward, because I think they've got Hawthorn next week who play today, and that's at home, and they'll just take it. As I say, you can't take it. You'd love to be able to do it in blocks. And, a lot of people do their predictors, in fours. But you can't. You just can't. The competition is too volatile to be even thinking about that. So the Cats have got to worry about Hawthorn next week now.
What about today? St Kilda and Port, they're $1. Oh, well, Shorty, you're the prices.
So, I can tell you that the money's really strong for the Saints here, Brad. Yeah. They were $1.80 on opening, now into $1.68. Port are on the drift, 2.02 out to 2.18. That line's now at 5.5.
Well, the big thing for me is with Port Adelaide, I'm worried about the self-preservation switch. When is it going to come on? Rosie, Butters, Horne-Francis, all very good players, but pretty much one-way players, and that's the issue for me. I think St Kilda, obviously Windhager goes to one of them, most likely Butters, and tries to limit him, not snuff him out of the game, but limit him, and then try and work back the other way. And I'm just a little bit worried about the motivation of some of the Port Adelaide players, because when you start to get carped and constant criticism, the blame game begins. Well, it's not Ken Hinkley's fault, but the bottom line is that, they're just, they're probably not as good as they thought they were, and we've read this book before, and I think St Kilda win, but I don't think it's going to be a hell of a high-scoring game. I don't expect it to be a shootout, because if it does become a shootout, Port Adelaide have got a silly chance. But if it becomes a low-scoring game where St Kilda squeeze the life out of them, they can get it done. But $1.68 short enough to find out.
Absolutely. Richmond Carlton, Tigers opened up at $5.75. They're out to 7. All the money for Carlton at the shorts, 1.14 into $1.10, and the line's moved as well. It's 36.5 out to 41.5.
Oh, well, there's the live chance for Carlton here is, okay, let's put a bit of space on the 3rd through to 13th, you know what I mean? And then they can get into second spot. They'll do it. They'll do it well. It's pretty good conditions here, boys. There's been a few showers this morning, but nothing's going to affect them. I suspect that Carlton will win by as much as they want to, Shorty, and I think they'll want to win by a bit. And I think it'll be quite a high-scoring game, particularly from the Blues' point of view. And that'll give Richmond a chance to score, but they won't be scoring enough.
And the final game should be a beauty. West Coast, their best side on paper for a significant period of time, and the money's come $2.70 into $2.40. Hawthorn, $1.46 out to $1.58. That line's moved from 15.5 into 9.5.
Yeah, well, the market was too far apart, and they don't often get it wrong, the market makers, but I thought it was. I mean, that's a bit of a home ground advantage. Yeah. Well, my favourite saying, Shorty, looks good on paper, game's played on grass. I'm not discounting Hawthorn. I think they can win this game. I think people are underestimating them a little bit. He's got them playing a nice style of footy, a nice brand of footy, Mitchell, and I think that it'll be a fantastic contest in the midfield today. It's just going to be who can convert. Waterman's in, a rich reign of form. He's going beautifully. So he's the danger for Hawthorn. It depends who Sicily goes to. Does he go to Darling? Does he go to Waterman? Does he go to Oscar Allen? So that's the big point for me. And see if they can cut him out. But no, I'm happy to be with Hawthorn. I think they've done enough to show that they can have a bit more respect in the market.
Okay, Sunday. Just before we get the Sunday Saviour, we've got a texter online who wants to know other waffle scores. So Thunder were defeated by Subi. This one's come out of the blue, 9-6-60. The Lions, 9-12-66. Perth have had a win over the Garlic Munchers. The Demons, 16-4-100. Beat West Perth 11-7-73. The Falcons in big trouble. And we've already mentioned the other game. 2 games today. Swannies play Eagles and the Sharkies play Claremont at Leederville Oval.
Come on, Tigers.
Right. What about a Sunday saver?
Casterton, race 1. Joffrey making his hurdle debut. He'll be winning. Race 1, number 3, $1.80. Ballarat race 6, number 6. Pirios or Piroi, I think it's called. It's $3.70. I'm looking forward to that one. And Rockhampton race 7, number 3, named after you, Marty. Honky Tonk Diva, $1.80. So Cassidy race 1, number 3, Joffrey, $1.80. Ballarat race 6, number 6, Piroi, $3.70. Rockhampton race 7, number 3, Honky Tonk Diva, $1.80. That's $12, boys. That'll be a nice way to get out of your Sunday saviour.
Beautifully done. Good morning, Shorty, Marty and Brad. Really enjoyed the T20 final last night. Great to see a final that goes down to the wire and not one-sided, which we often see these days.
It was a beauty. It could have gone either way, right down to the last 4 overs, as you touched on, Marty. It would look like South Africa, while Klaasen and Miller were at the crease, they looked to be cruising, but I tell you, this man, Jasprit Bumrah, it's the most unorthodox bowling style for a fast bowler you can imagine. He comes in off 7 or 8 steps. He doesn't do much right from an action perspective, but gee, he is just a freak talent, and when the game is on the line, he just goes up to levels that most guys struggle to get bat on ball, and he did that again last night. He was unbelievable. Brad, I was saying to Marty earlier, his tournament strike rate or runs per over was 4.3, an all-time record in the T20 World Cups. If you break it down, if there were 5 other bowlers in the side like him, you'd be basically keeping the opposition to about 84 runs every time you played against them. That's how good he's going.
Yep. No doubt. We're very, very good. So, for Morts, he's got 17 stores. Obviously, that Allenbrook store goes out pretty well there. The Nude Nut, 1-800-100-100. He can do things the banks can't, boys. And we look forward to a big day, big afternoon of footy. Have you got a winner for me at Bunbury at all, boys? Or Broome? I'm easy.
I'll give you one in Broome. Ace Fire will win up there.
Ace Fire.
Yep.
What race is that in, Marty?
It's second last, I think. You'll find it. You'll sniff it out, I'll bet you.
No worries, boys.
Mark at Vic Park, wash your mouth out, Marty. The Mighty Royals were too good for the Bullies. Oh, come on, stop it.
He's not going to get a lot of love from this trio, wheeling that sort of banter in on the text line. I'll give you the tip.
Hang on, one last one before we let you go from George. Do the Hawks tag Harley today?
Yeah, absolutely. They'll pay attention to him. Don't know if they'll tag him, but they'll certainly have someone go to him. It could be Warple, might be Nash. We'll see what happens. I mean, they've got options. You know, they might just go head to head with Will Day. You know, so there's lots of things to like about that. So the beneficiaries of that will be Elliot Yeo, and I hope he can see out the game and go well, because I know what it's like when you have that sort of trauma in your life. Seen it before where blokes want to play. They think their father would want or mother would want them to play, but sometimes the emotion drains you from the week. So I hope he has a good day. So I think it'll be strategic from Mitchell to make sure that at least there's somebody accounting for Yo, to a lesser degree Kelly, and certainly Reid.
Loans 1, 2, 3 and Retrovision. Flags at half-mast for Retrovision today. And Mortsy in the team with the Bombers going down last night. He won't be at his best. That is for sure, old Group 1.
No, exactly right. But he'll get a defibrillator over there to Tullamarine and make sure they get him a jump start during the week.
Thanks, Bradley.
Cheers, Brad.
See you, boys.
The Aftermath, every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Top of the straight now, they'd balanced up, 3:50 to go, and advanced on the outside. Birds the Word, Valderina a length and a half, then came Ginger Green. Special sort back behind it, so's El Patron. They went to the 200 mark, advanced Birds the Word. On the outside, Ginger Green. Coming back, Valderina, Birds the Word. Advanced the outside. Over on the outside, coming now, Ginger Green. Birds the Word diving through. They'll go to it. Birds the Word. I thought won it narrowly from advanced, either Ginger.
Yeah, that was the final of the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Winter Series, taken out by Birds the Word. Ben Pearce, co-trainer of Birds the Word, joins us on the Aftermath this morning. A very good morning, Ben.
Yeah, good morning, Marty. Morning, Shorty.
Good, tough fighting win, this, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he really toughed it out. he sort of parked there outside the leader, and Chris said he travelled well throughout, and he got taken on a couple of times, and he just kept finding. So it was a tough win. Got the job done. Another galah flying the flag for the stable.
Yeah, you've had a wonderful run with this particular breed on the way through, and I guess the recurring thing, they're really tough horses, and Birds of War, that was another excellent example of it there yesterday. Many others would have faltered, but Birds of War really up for the challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one thing with these two horses. What they've got in common is they're tough and they stay sound. So you can get the runs into them. They can stand up to big race preps, and they can continue to improve throughout the preparation.
Form had been good going into this race, into the final. Was it always the plan to be there in the run?
Yeah, they didn't look like there was a lot of pressure there in front on paper. That panned out really well. He's been running some nice races, and we know that he goes well on a soft to heavy track, and with that bit of rain earlier in the week, we thought it could set up well for him, and Chris had the choice between the two rides, and he sort of going back last week, I was talking to Scotty, and he sounded like he was leaning towards doing the switch and going to climb on top. And then when that rain came earlier in the week, Tuesday when the fields come out, I think that just that sealed his decision to stay with Birds of the Word.
I was chatting with Marty off air before you came on. Benji, it's been a hot run for the camp. It's excellent to see. Triple J last week, and then, of course, double earlier on in the week there last Sunday there earlier in the week, at Northern with Under Influence and also Desert Edge. It's not an easy caper training horses, but when you're having a run like you are at the moment and getting the rewards for the hard work, it must be really pleasing.
Yeah, it is. We're 6-7 years into partnership now, and we've just ticked over 400 winners. So it is really pleasing and rewarding, and it's just a credit to the team that we've got here. We've got a really good team behind us. Some really experienced people that could be training in their own right. So to have those sort of people here that we can rely on is fantastic, and the whole partnership works really well for us because we've got different bases where I'm out riding and Dan's on the ground in the shed, and we can sort of be all over everything, and then also having Chloe and Danelle involved in the business as well. You've got a lot of family interest there, just to sort of make sure everything keeps flowing, and it's worked really well. And Chloe and I are off on holiday on Friday for 2 weeks, and we could have never done that before. We were in partnership, so that's the benefit of it. You get your time away, and then when you come home, you come back nice and fresh, ready to go again.
Hey! What about the Emperor, Colin?
Yeah, he's on a long trip now. I spoke to him yesterday. We stopped in the Onslow pub to watch the races. But yeah, he's got no fixed address and no time for him to be home.
And no worries.
That's it.
You're taking another galah who's a favourite for the Southwest Cup today. Let's Gallivant. He's one of our favourites. Can he win it?
I think he can. He just came through that run last week so good. I mean, originally it wasn't our plan to run in this race, but at the conditions, set weights with penalties, he gets in really well at the weights. And the way he ran through the line, it's sort of hasn't shown us any indication that he won't run the 22. So his work on Tuesday was outstanding. He just keeps going to another level. So we're really pleased with the horse. I suppose the only concern there on paper, there doesn't look to be a lot of speed there. And if Maricino lobs in front and doesn't get any pressure put on, at Bunbury, rail back to the true, that it has been known that inside pad can be pretty fast, and if an old tough horse like Maricino lands there, he's going to be awfully hard to run down.
Yeah, it can be very hard to get past if able to dictate up front. First run at the track for Let's Gallivant. Has the horse seen the circuit? Have you taken the horse for a look around before?
No. First time for him. So I suppose that's the question mark. But he's he's managed to conquer every other challenge that we've given him. So I can't see it being an issue. He's a very versatile horse. He's I think it is just that he knuckles down and he puts in every time he goes around. So he's been to all sorts of tracks. He's won on the hard. He's won on the soft. He's been to York, Kalgoorlie, Pinjarra, Belmont, Ascot. He's won at them all. So I can't see Bunbury being an issue.
Previous race to the main event there today, Bunbury. You've got Striking Fella for CJP going around, a $5.50 chance.
Yeah, he looks pretty well suited there. We had him in a race yesterday, a 3-year-old 14, and we pulled him out of that. Sort of thought it might be a little bit tough for him. So he looks well suited there at that grade and trips. So he's a horse that's shown talent, and he's going well. So I think he could be hard to beat. Okay, Ben, thanks for coming on the Aftermath. We've got Graeme Ballentyne coming up as well, another trainer in wonderful form down your way. All the best in the Southwest Cup today, and congratulations on the win yesterday. No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Ben Pearce, as you heard, stable flying at the moment.
Big time. And, Marty, isn't it great, the family affair? You talk about the Emperor Cole on the road, but he'd be so proud of his boys and of course, their wives as well and their kids. Everybody rolls up their sleeves and gets involved. And across all three codes, it's sometimes lost on people and people on the outside looking in that don't understand how much love there is for the animals, but how galvanising and special it is for families to be involved in all three codes. And I think it's a rarity that people can work together in an environment where you can have great success, but these animals become part of their family. But to have everybody involved and you help each other through the lows, because we've got to be honest, Marty, we've both been involved in for many, many years and unfortunately it's part of the caper, but you also get to celebrate each other when you have the success, and they do have great staff, but the fact that they've got that family base and people that they love and trust around them, it really does help to make that job a little bit easier. And when it is time to help each other and pick each other up through tough times, you know they're around you. But the flip side, when things are going great, how good to be able to celebrate and really enjoy your success with your family.
And they are reaping what they sow at the moment, Team Pearce. Don't worry about that.
And they do a great job with the ladies' horses as well that are coming in.
Yeah, correct.
Chloe and Danelle are wonderful young ladies, and they're so invested in it. They love the horses. They love a day at the races. They are absolutely fully invested, and anybody that meets them, and so many of these ladies, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. You grab a few of your girlfriends, get involved, ring some of these stables, and I tell you, it used to be a male-dominated domain where males would go and have the day at the track with their mates. I love the fact now that it's opened up and everyone is welcome at the races, and some of these lady syndicates are actually outdoing some of the male syndicates that are around town and are just having the best time of their lives.
Mark from Vic Park's fired another one back. Sorry, guys, can you repeat the score in the Royals Bulldogs game? With a lot of laughing going on.
What's this all about?
AFL, Hawthorn win, Carlton win, NRL, St George win, Penrith win. That's Brian of High Wycombe. That's how you play the Sunday Saviour. So get them in. You got till 9 o'clock. And overnight in the Euros, it was Switzerland 2, Italy 0, and Germany 2, Denmark 0. So Italy out? I'm not sure about that. I think Denmark are out.
Marty, just quickly, I did want to also, I was showing you as well off air, the news coming through in the last 48 hours for Perth Wildcats fans. Obviously, Alex Sarr going number 2 in the NBA draft, which is incredible. He surpasses going back a few years ago, of course, LaMelo Ball came across. He went number 3. So Sarr surpassed him now as the highest ever NBA draft. And the man that they've got coming in for this upcoming season, I am so excited. His reels are phenomenal. Izan Almansa. Azan Almansa, and his fellows from Spain. How's his resume? FIBA Under-17s World Cup MVP and silver medalist. FIBA Under-18 European Championship MVP and gold medalist. FIBA Under-19 World Cup MVP and gold medalist. 2024 NBA All-Star Rising Star selection. Go back and have a look at this highlight reel. The Perth Wildcats, this is one of the biggest signings in the history of their club.
Okay, Graeme Ballentyne's next.
The Aftermath. Every Sunday morning from 6 o'clock on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
So she's got a lot of work to do and a lot of ground to make back there behind a wall of horses coming for home. Prospector's Pick straightens up, 2 clear, boots away from Lord Lala. Our Rocky Bay followed further back, Ver Grey, Blue Lagoon. He's still trying to work his way clear with Objectify, but she's back in congestion, and Sky Talker's running on. They're starting to build behind Prospector's Pick. Prospector's Pick is off his feet on the rail. Roaming Dangers, Skywalker, no runs for a 2 or 3 behind. They'll go to it. Roaming Danger, who was the last of them to leave the gates, has got them.
Oh, big win there. So it was a terrific race number 5. Graeme, Ballentyne, you'd be wrapped with the win of Roaming Danger. Welcome to the aftermath.
Yeah, how you going, Shorty and Matty? Yeah, it was a very good win. Pretty wrapped in it, yeah.
Graeme, it's wins like this when they go around $61 and you head to the races with probably not too much pressure on you. They're really, really, I guess, nice wins to have that take a bit of pressure off the stable and help to really lift the spirits of everybody. It was a great ride from Geordie Turner. How's the horse pulled up this morning after the big win there yesterday?
Yeah, it's pulled up really well. Eating horse Tucker up and it was hanging out for his breakfast this morning and yeah, it's pulled up well, so we'll just keep going ahead with it now.
High quality.
Wins like that are good, you know, with the West Speed bonus and all that. It's quite a bit of money to race for.
Oh, that is for sure. About to say, a high-quality race. You know, the second horse, Prospector's Pick, Sky Talker, a horse on the way up, and, of course, Objectify back behind them, unlucky. But this was a quality field.
It was a good field, you know. Geordie rode it well. We got a bit of luck, you know, along the rails, and that didn't have to do any work. And as you say, a few of them fancy ones were a bit stiff. Danny Morton's horse, you know, they got held up pretty bad. If that got out in the clear, it might have been a different story. But you know, we won, so we'll take it.
Oh, you've got to take the wins when they're there. One thing you've got to say about this daughter of Rommel, though, Graeme, she's been incredibly consistent on the way through now. 7 starts, 2 wins, 3 placings, never far from the action. What sort of horse is she around the home?
She's pretty fiery. She's starting to settle down a little bit, but early days she was really wild. And Donna, my wife, she rides her every morning and seems to get on pretty good with her. But even at the races and that, she gets herself fired up and that before the race. You know, normally lathered up in the sweat by the time she gets to the barriers and all that. But hopefully she'll settle down in time and, you know, might get up to a mile or so.
What's the plan for her next start?
I think there was a 1,400 3-year-old coming up in about 3.5 weeks somewhere. Probably head for that. It's all going well.
Dasher Brandy was good in the 2,200?
Yeah, she ran another good race. She's been pretty consistent the whole prep. You know, she's not far away from winning one and, yeah, very consistent. So I'm happy with her.
Graeme, how many are you working with at the moment?
I think we've got 22 in work, and then there's a couple of pre-trainers as well. We do a few for Dan and Ben Pearce when they got too many up at their place. Absolutely.
Off to Bunbury today. It's another really good race day to look forward to. We're having a look at race number 7. And Jelly Can Run looks to be a really good chance this afternoon. The draw's a little bit sticky there in barrier 12, but coming off a really nice win last time out. What are your expectations with Jelly Can Run this afternoon?
Yeah, he's worked really well since that last start down there when he won. He won pretty well. Has got a bad barrier, but he'll get back a bit, so the barrier shouldn't play too much of a part against him not getting a good run. So I expect him to really run on well at the end and go very close.
Okay, and race number 5, you've got Cherry Can Run, another last start winner.
Yeah, that's Jelly's half-sister. Yeah, well, she was knocking on the door. She had 4 or 5 placings before she won, and yeah, she should be pretty close there again today. I think she's worked well and eaten well and all that. So, you know, with a trouble-free run, I think she'll be right up there with them.
Form's been frank with Kisses from Kelly winning yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah. That won pretty well yesterday.
Sure did. See you, champ. There's another horse ticking over beautifully in race number 4, barrier 6. You're going to the races with some pretty decent arsenal this afternoon, Graeme.
Yeah, it looks good on paper, but, you know, we'll see what happens when we get there. See your champ, you know, she's just done nothing but improved since we stepped her up over ground the last couple of runs. Yeah, I think she'll be right up there with them.
And you got a first starter in the opener, gets the girls off trial form for Jason Whiting.
Yeah, I think he just might need a bit of racing and get up to 1,600 somewhere before he starts to show anything. Hopefully he's running on today, but I don't think he'll be in the money.
Is there a standout of the team that you're taking to the races today, Graeme?
Probably out of the 3, I'd say probably well, the last three have all got a good chance, but probably Jelly, I'd say, was the best one.
All right, we'll stick with Jelly. We had Jared Noski on the program a couple of weeks ago, Graeme, and I was lucky enough to go back down memory lane and remember the win of Talent Show in the Perth Cup. It brings back some really fond memories for myself, and obviously the sad passing of Dave Strom. But I tell you, it was a wonderful time in racing. It's a race day that I'll never forget. The likes of Dave Bushell and Strommy and Miggsy was around the place. The celebrations were enormous. And then, of course, Hayden was in the grand final with Freo around that period of time as well. It was a great time in your life, and I'm sure that's a win that you remember really fondly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, she's probably the best horse we've ever trained. And, you know, to win the Perth Cup is pretty hard when you got probably not a very big team and all that. And as you say, Strommy and Bushy and all them, they were top blokes. And, well, Bushy's still here, you know, but poor old Dave's gone and Miggsy and that. And, yeah, she was the best horse we've ever had.
Beautifully done, Graeme. Good to go down memory lane, and all the best at Bunbury today.
Righto, thanks a lot, boys.
Cheers, Graeme.
He's a beauty. Now, we can confirm Italy are out of the Euros. That's from Mark Paratore, who's got the black armband on again. Boys, I had to put a rescue greyhound bomber down yesterday, Mick of Allenbrook. That's a bit sad. Lovely video there. Pet friends for over years. They do a terrific job, don't they?
Oh, they're beautiful.
Looking after these greyhounds.
They are beautiful animals.
As pets. Oh, they are. There's so many of them around now too, which is wonderful.
They're so calm and relaxed, and they're the best. They're the best mates. They really do become your best mate. And for people that are thinking about having a dog, the greyhounds, people think, they're going to be high maintenance, I'm going to struggle. No. Mate, they are the absolute lounge lizards. They love nothing more than to just chill out on the beanbag close by wherever you are, and then as long as they get their walk at the start of the day, at the end of the day, they burn off energy really quickly, and all around it, all they want to do is show you love and affection.
Your friend, yeah.
They're beautiful.